Beautiful friends, I hope that you are all doing amazing today. October 2023 is here, and I know it's hard to believe because time is certainly flying and accelerating like never before. October is going to be the most intense month of 2023 so far, with amazing truths being revealed on completely new levels as people begin to rise up in many different forms. Major changes in governments and in leaderships and even within the justice systems, especially here in the United States. We have two powerful eclipses coming in October that's going to bring about unbelievable, surprising transformation and healing to humanity and to our planet. Also, October is going to be a month that's going to offer us this opportunity to really get a grip and defeat the darkness that's been trying to take control of us and humanity for too long now. That war between the dark and the light is about to go nuclear, metaphorically speaking, of course. Predictions are coming into fruition, beginning with my visions of the streets of New York City being underwater. That just happened over the weekend, as you know, with rains. They were totally inundated with rains that flooded the streets, even flooded the airport. Big Apple was definitely floating this past weekend, and prayers to all those who are dealing with that aftermath of the floods in New York City. So are New Yorkers going to see this again in the very near future? Very near future. I'm going to let you know about that today. Could there also be something much bigger than just floods about to hit New York City? Perhaps an attack of some sort on New York City in the near future? I'm going to talk about that, and if you're in New York, you're going to want to hear what I got to say. I've had several visions of mushroom clouds in the past, which we unfortunately did see come into fruition, but if you recall, Spirit said there'd be more to come. And once again, we saw a nuclear-looking cloud mushroom after an explosion that appeared over Russia, while we actually saw this wild-looking mushroom cloud, not from an explosion, of course, in Oklahoma. Is this a sign for something that's going to happen, perhaps in Oklahoma? We're going to talk about all this today, perhaps even larger mushroom clouds caused from explosions in the near future. Other visions that I've been having, some quite disturbing, I must say. What the heck is going on with our friends in Canada and the Canadian government? More likely the Canadian government, of course. Are they slowly creeping into a totalitarian control of their citizens? Especially with this new C-11 bill and the recent parliament applauding one of Adolf's fighters, if you know what I'm talking about? Could this run over into the United States? Is United States in risk of these same bills? Not just the United States, wherever you live. If you're not familiar with the C-11 bill, we're going to talk about that today briefly. Did world leaders, this is pretty crazy, friends, but did world leaders put out their globalist plan in plain English back in 1991 in a book? They sure did, or I wouldn't be talking about it right now. And wait until you see exactly what's written in this book back in 91 that we actually see globalists doing right now in our current day. Unbelievable information. Spirit told us that we could look forward to amazing new breakthroughs when it comes to vision and eyesight. Well, that breakthrough just broke through, and with great success. And I'm going to talk about that amazing breakthrough and prediction coming into fruition, and more predictions around upcoming breakthroughs in the medical field. October through the end of 2023 is a very powerful cycle that is going to bring about truth, justice, and even convictions. So is the truth behind the Clintons and their shady foundation going to come out? Or is it actually coming out? It is actually coming out. Finally, they are being called out for the corruption conducted by the foundation in which they founded. But will justice prevail? Seems like these people just keep getting away with what they get away with, right? So we're in a time of returned karma, a time where we were in it earlier this year. We're in it again throughout the rest of this year and even into next year. Returned karma, both good and bad. So is the Clinton cartel about to get their justice? Are we about to see justice be served for them? There would literally be no better time than now with the alignments and everything that's happening. So I'm going to talk about that briefly and what it looks like for them in the future. Why are Russian troops marching in Mexico's Independence Day parade? Why are Russians and some claim Chinese military troops close to the United States border right now? That's kind of shady. We're going to talk about that shadiness and where that could lead to in the near future as well. I have a ton of information for you from the spirits today, and for all y'all about new predictions and great topics of discussion. And this episode number 85. 85, folks. 85. Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time. I'm Tittle. This is tea, and it's tea time. I welcome you to my channel. I welcome you back to my channel. Again, my name is Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, and I welcome you, hola, with infinite love and gratitude. I hope that you're having a beautiful day. If you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, and want to know what's going on in the world and where it's heading, you found the perfect tribe, baby. Smash that subscribe and click the bell on all so that you hopefully get the notifications that are supposed to go to you, so that when I upload these and go live, you'll know when I'm there. You won't miss content. I'm here every Tuesday. Every single Tuesday. The time varies depending on how long it takes me to record and upload. But every Tuesday we go over major world stories, how they align with predictions and prophecy, along with new predictions each and every month. And being this is the first Tuesday, I did do October predictions. So if you missed my October prediction video, you're not going to want to miss that either. Check that out. I'll make sure a link pops up below, so above, not below, but above, but probably below too, but definitely above. Click on that link for the October predictions. Although I do have a lot more to cover for October's predictions, as I always do the first Tuesday of every month after the monthly predictions. So also down below, you will find the link to my newest newsletter. That newsletter for October is really in-depth and inspirational. It gives you the rundown, inspirational message for the month of October, and I send these out several times a month around the moon phases and such and what's going on. You can see the different basic astrology for the month, along with the numerology and the do's and don'ts, and so that you can make and take the best advantage out of the month of October. That newsletter is free. If it's free, it's for me, so go down below, check it out, open it up. You'll also see special offers on sessions and upcoming classes. Really good stuff. So, shall we move on? Shall we move on? Let's have some tea first. It is tea time. Once again, I want to say happy birthday to all our October Libras. Happy birthday. A friend of mine's birthday is today. I have a lot of Libra friends, a lot of Libra birthdays this month. A lot of people have a birthday today, too, I noticed. So, happy birthday to you. And happy birthday to our late October Scorpios. Also, don't forget to check out my video, The Most Powerful Day of the Year, if you have a birthday coming up. That way, you can take advantage of the magic of your birthday and make it truly powerful, because your birthday in astrology marks off your New Year's. That is New Year's Day. And the way you celebrate it and the day you live your life, the weeks leading up to your birthday, will determine how that whole next year goes, from your birthday till the day before your next birthday. So October is certainly going to be, again, the most intense month so far in 2023, with two powerful eclipses that are going to head our way in the 8 vibration that's going to offer us these wonderful infinite possibilities. Because the 8 vibration, the number 8, of course, sideways is infinity. So we got double meaning with the 8 vibration, which gives us infinite possibilities. Some of the most shocking events and changes are about to occur globally, especially here in the United States, where I believe a complete change in government is upon us. We gotta hold in the light, my friends. We gotta hold in the light that this change that's coming for United States, but for the world too, because what happens in the United States is going to determine what happens in the world. Hold that in your heart with love and with the beautiful golden light, so that we have good outcomes. But something's going to happen, and I feel like this change hopefully is for the better. But I could also see some type of new elections taking place in the United States due to the dramatic changes that are going to come that are on our doorstep now. I don't know exactly what this means. This is just a feeling, something new around elections. Hopefully, again, we hold in the light that it's something positive. they're fair, like they should be, because they haven't been for decades. Just saying. I see a completely new system going into place. And in October, we should begin to see this start to play out. This new system, this is more of a currency system, a world currency system, and based on that. And the way I see this playing out, this new system is going to be connected globally to a main system utilizing satellites, and likely that satellite system is going to be the Starlink system. I told you I didn't trust it. I told you when I went to Peru and worked with ayahuasca and the shamans, they showed me this web of darkness over the earth, which back then I thought was something different until I saw the grid for all the Starlink satellites, and it looks literally like a web of darkness over the planet. When you look at the grid for it, it looks just like a big gigantic spider web. So just saying, I don't never trusted that person, never trusted that company or any of his companies. So this is going to be a future world currency. It doesn't mean, again, let me just step back for a minute. It doesn't mean that it still can't be used for good, and good can't overpower that. We can hold that in the light that good prevails, of course, because it can be a wonderful system. But at the same time, what happens when things change with sun flares and such, and all these satellites go out? Starlink just had a massive outage 2 weeks ago. That's why I had to do my show on Wednesday instead of Tuesday. It wouldn't upload. Thanks, Starlink. And they just raised the price $10. It was $110 a month. Now it's $120 a month. That's a big jump. That's like a 9%, 9.5% jump. So moving on with that. Thanks for listening to my gripe. So this is going to be the future world currency that globalists have been working hard on instilling upon us, as I've been telling you for quite some time. A system that we got to resist. We have to resist no matter how good they try to make it appear. You know, how people are when it comes to free money, they think it's free money, but really they're taking everybody else's money and giving you money that just is fake money anyway. Air money, at least even physical money, dollar bills and such, at least it's physical. Digital, there's no physical. There's nothing in your hand. It's just, to me, just complete fake. The whole thing's a fake system. They can make it appear whatever they want it to appear. So we got to be very vigilant and pay very close attention to what is about to strike here in America and for the entire world. I would tell you to expect election fraud to become a huge topic as we finally begin to see some truth being revealed around the facts that in many countries, including my home of the red, white, and blue, there has been a string of dishonesty, if you know what I mean. We got to hold again in the light that this future shift in the voting systems is a solid form of voting that goes into place where only honesty resides. That's what we got to hold in the light, because they haven't been honest. And anybody that call them deniers or whatever you want to say, it has not been honest, especially here in the United States since they got rid of John F. Kennedy. After that, they had to make sure everything went the way they wanted to go. It's just the way they are. They being the globalist or the elite or whatever you want to call them. Whoever's at the top, because we'll never guess who's completely at the top. Eventually, that's going to come out, though. So I would also tell you that as of now, in accordance to my Team Spirit, hey, you are a member of Team Spirit, my guides, that in the United States, the 2024 election, as of now, with astrological alignments and the eclipses crossing over North America, I would expect that there, as of now, is no election happening, is what Spirit showed me, as of now. Remember, timeline shift, things shift. We had a big timeline shift that just happened on the 23rd, right around the equinox. So, again, the more of us that we know the truth, the more of us to put out love and light around this, the more they're not going to do anything. Kind of like the October 4th conspiracy, we'll say. I'm going to talk more about that later because I got more important information about that, October 4th. I talked about it last week, but I got, again, some other information about that today. So elections in the United States, again, with astrological alignments and the eclipses that are going to basically cause an X right over the United States down and around Texas, I would expect there to be some kind of changes that occur around our Constitution. Hopefully not stripping away our rights to the Constitution like they secretly do, but perhaps even some type of a rewriting of constitutions, not just here in the United States, but in other countries as well. A rewriting. But being those eclipses are going across, the way they are, they're going to, of course, that energy is going to be targeted towards United States and big things in Texas. Huge things. Remember a while back I saw a star falling off the flag in a vision? That could very well be Texas falling out of, line with the United States and doing their own thing. That's why you see all these elite, not elite, well, some of them are elite. Joe Rogan. I can't think of who else, but a lot of people move there. Elon Musk. A lot of them moved to Texas. I should tell you something. I think Texas and Arizona probably, for Americans, are probably the two safest places to be. Especially when things escalate and get even a little more intense. So a new form, again, of safer, more reliable voting. All of this can shift and change as long as we, again, continue to pray and hold in the light our countries, hold it in our heart our countries, and the entire planet, and do so with a vortex of beautiful golden light. So again, you can do this with anything. Visualize it. Place it in the center of your heart. Allow it to be encompassed in a vortex of golden light. And the more of us that do that, the more we can shift things and prevent things from happening. And so that gives us the ability to defeat the darkness. Remember the word lunatic, being we're talking about lunar stuff and all this stuff coming up with the eclipses. The word lunatic actually comes from the word lunar, meaning the moon. So therefore, these coming eclipses are going to heighten the emotions. That's where we get a lunatic from, full moon, right? The crazies come out at the full moon. We all heard that. It's really true, too. Ask anybody that works in an emergency room. They'll tell you how busy they are during the full moon energy. And it's a couple days. It's like 4 or 5 days, the energy of the full moon. Police officers will tell you the same thing. So with this energy coming up, of course, many folks are going to witness folks having kind of lunatic types of behavior, which will in turn bring about more violence, unfortunately, looting, protests, especially towards the second half of October, the last quarter, as we go towards the full moon. This, along with very, very strong potential of several mass bang events, you know what I'm talking about, unfortunately, and other terror-related events here in the United States, but also globally. You know my visions I had of Paris and of France probably playing out around the same time. Not just this month, October, in the second half, but the whole remainder of the year. We have these influences that are going to bring out that energy, unfortunately. So, again, there could be some type of terror-related types of events happening globally, likely all leading to this big world-changing event that myself and many others have been feeling all over the world. Something huge. I'm going to be channeling information about that big event in another video that'll be put out later this week. So make sure that you subscribe down below. Click the bell and all so you get notifications so that when I upload my channeled predictions with me in meditation trance mode, you're going to want to hear what comes through in this next channeling session. So massive explosions that I have had visions of in the past, and my feelings that it would hit in the last quarter of 2023. That last quarter right now is here. We just stepped into that last quarter. So October could be the month where we witness these massive explosions that I've seen in the past. Justice is going to finally begin to ring loudly in the month of October. We got that Libra influence with the scales of justice. And it's going to occur throughout the whole rest of 2023 and even in 2024. Well-deserved justice. But even justice within the justice system itself, as corrupt justices begin to meet their karmic destiny. Because we know how corrupt the justice system. If you live in America, for those that don't live in America, we have a saying here, there ain't no justice in our justice system. Especially if you had to deal with it. I've seen many injustices personally from the justice system. Not cool. It's like a little click. A cop can go right up up in court and lie right to the whole court and get away with it. I've seen it happen. Just straight out lie. And the judge knows they're lying. That's the craziest part about it. But anyway, Justice being served within the justice because there's corruption in the justice system and they're going to meet their karmic destiny. More stories that we're going to see going viral globally with the corrupt judges, corrupt lawyers, politicians, corporate heads, and between now and this time next year, we're going to begin to see my past prediction of shocking arrests taking place. Some in which I hope will start to take place this month in October. Shocking arrests. Like for example, the former president, when he was arrested, that wasn't really shocking. People are like, that's shock. That wasn't really that shocking. We knew it was coming. Shocking arrest would be like, whoa, didn't see that coming, right? That would be shocking. So with justice being served up, once again, we enter into this long period cycle of karmic returns, both again, good and bad. So much truth, unlike anything that we have ever imagined, is about to be unleashed. And finally, the evildoers are going to begin receiving large doses of karma. This includes the mass media as well. With folks already awakening in a massive world event that's on our doorsteps that, again, I've been feeling and many others around the world have been feeling, that is going to awaken humanity on a whole new level of consciousness. In turn, that'll bring justice and karma to the lying media and the propaganda that they push out. So that'll be really interesting. So I don't know, again, exactly what the world event is, but I will tune in and share what I get in my channeled prediction video. So mass media, again, is going to be called out for lying. And unfortunately, we're going to see governments once again attacking free speech, like Canada is trying to do right now with their C-11 bill. Such huge attacks on our freedom that's going to anger people to the point of no return. I would also tell you to expect major news networks such as NBC or CNN and MSN to begin to collapse from within, which we already see happening to CNN. That would be the best one to go because, weren't they the first ones to be the, all-day news? They were the first ones to be all-day news. I remember when that happened. It was like a big deal. News every day, all day. So we're going to see big news media corporations like that begin to really fail, especially after whatever this big event occurs. It's going to cause people to awaken again to that next level and tapping into a new level of consciousness, which is going to be, people are going to see it clearly, basically, the lies. They're going to get caught in their lies. They have before, but whatever this is, it's going to be a big lie that they get caught in. They're going to be, forced to maybe even apologize. So many are going to be forced to submit to, honestly, many people do, brain freeze. Many people do submit to what they put out and the propaganda that they put out. But it's time for that to shift and change. And many are going to see that. We're going to see lots of unemployed news people in the near future, according to Spirit. I've made past predictions revolved around the war with the cartel, if you remember. And in the state of Texas as well, I brought up in the past with a war with the cartel. I feel that this is going to begin to play out. And I would weave the state of Arizona into the mix. Like I said, the cartel right now basically owns a very big, large portion of the United States when it comes to payoffs and such, including the state of Arizona, obviously. That's why the elections went the way they did here in Arizona, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Going back to, again, things not being completely honest and the dishonesty within the media and so forth. So the state of Arizona, so the cartel has a big control over a big portion of our country and other countries as well, including the agencies like the FBI and the CIA, along with the state of Arizona, as I said. But truth is going to begin to seep out like syrup from a maple tree, baby. That's what Spirit said. Spirit came up with that, not me. Truth is going to seep out like syrup from a maple tree. I thought it was kind of funny. They do have a sense of humor. Anyway, bringing the sweetness of truth to the American people into the world. That's sweet, baby. That's very sweet. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. This also brings about my prediction of Texas beginning to form their own little army. Remember my visions that I said that there would be like citizens, probably ex-military, that get fed up with it and build their own little group or their own little army, so to speak. But now, according to Spirit, it might be the whole state of Texas beginning to do so, which would make more sense to perhaps my vision of a star falling off the flag being Texas. Would make complete sense. So the fight against the cartel and the illegal border crossings is what this little group is forming to stop. And the cartel, of course, is not going to like that. I also see some type of an attack happening in Texas, in a small Texas town. This feels to me to be some type of flag that flies ever so falsely, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink. Anyway, yeah, whatever it is, it has this agenda, this flag that flies in a small Texas town to trigger anger by residents of Texas. So remember, friends in Texas, to remember that is a flag. And you got to be very aware when they're holding the flag in front of your car trying to tell you to stop, right? Stop. Don't look further. Because it's a trick. It's a deception. So I would also tell you to expect a rise up of humanity on a global scale as well. The Mars energy in the latter part of October is going to bring out many people's emotions, especially anger, frustration, all those things. People are going to be more cynical too during that time period, making people also much more temperamental as well. So people becoming temperamental and all this energy with Mars and all the other energies of the eclipse is going on, people are going to become fed up. They're already fed up. But being fed up and standing up are two different things. So people are fed up, but we need to get to the point of them stepping up and standing up, and they will. Humanity will, because this is going to bring about more protests, more strikes, which I said earlier this year, we would have lots of strikes this year that would, impact even goods and services, which is happening. But it's going to get even more. People are stepping up. They're getting tired. They're getting sick of it. And finally, this is how we take our power back. This is how we take our countries back. We step up, stand up, not allow them to suppress us any longer. So this is going to bring, again, more strikes, even walkouts. Remember, I told you there'd be massive walkouts in companies that don't have unions. People are just going to get up and walk out, including fast food chains. We saw that before, but we're going to see that again, probably with the Golden Arches. People employees getting fed up and walking out, even protesting in front of small fast food chains and restaurants. So people in society are no longer going to be willing to settle for less. And that's where we got to be. We got to stop settling for less and less and less, because they're just going to keep taking from us, and taking from us as long as we allow them to do so. We got Mr. G taking all our farmland. We got them, burning down food factories, all kinds of crazy stuff that's happening. Control the food, control the weather, you control the people. And that's what they have been doing for quite some time. We can't allow it. So this is why I tell you to stock up. Stock up on everything and anything possible. You shouldn't be worried about buying gold or silver. You should be worried about making sure you have as much food as you possibly can stored away to last you as long as you possibly can. A year if you could. I don't have a year quite, but I have several months worth of food stored away. And I would make it last that long because, again, if it came down to that, you would make that food last longer than normal anyway. So 2 months worth of food could end up being 4 months worth of food if you look at it and eat it in a reserved way. Oh, I just hit my mic. Anyway, get out of the way, Mike. So, yeah, that's the energy that's coming in. People not settling for less. We need that, though. And of course, this is going to bring about the anger in some of the less than smart people, the less than smart folks, who are going to react in less than smart ways, of course, during these energies, especially the second eclipse, according to Spirit, which they just told me now. I would tell schools, all schools, especially here in the United States, of course, to be on high alert in the month of October. I would also tell Texas to be even on more of a high alert for your schools, and also California. I feel that there's going to be two types of incidents that occur with and I feel like these two incidents are going to occur, hopefully not in schools, or hopefully really not at all, but hopefully not at all or in schools. Sadly, it's probably not going to be that way. This brings me back to Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. That came back to my mind when I was channeling through information from Spirit. And I talked about that in my October prediction forecast video. So again, make sure you check that out if you missed it. I'm not exactly clear what is going to hit in Texas, or not Texas, Vegas, Texas too, but Vegas. But whatever is going to happen in Vegas, I feel like it's big, it's huge. Now, I warned Vegas before, and not long ago, after I warned, they had the big hacking that happened. And I talked about big hacks taking place, huge hacks, and institutions. Didn't think casinos, but I did say huge hacks, and I did warn Vegas. But this warning or this feeling feels bigger to me for some reason. And if it's that big, I could also relate this perhaps to my vision of large explosions in the past. Perhaps that could be in Vegas. I would also warn Vegas of more flooding, perhaps even the worst flooding thus far this year. Speaking of flooding, check out this footage here of the Caribbean that is currently being pounded by Hurricane Felipe. Totally devastating islands in the path of this hurricane in the Caribbean. And if you recall, I did warn the Caribbean a while back of major flooding and storms hitting and hurricanes. And I hate to be the spoiler of bad news, but unfortunately I see more coming, including hitting Puerto Rico, as I warned before in the past. Now, also in my past visions, you heard me talk about the streets of New York City being flooded out. Well, just recently, as you know, over the weekend, the streets of New York City became inundated by rain and floods, making that past prediction come into fruition. Look at this terrible footage and all the craziness of the flooded streets, water in the airport, and just a complete washing away of the old. Spirit warned us that we were heading into the season of water and major flooding, and it's happening. And I, again, hate to be the bearer of negative news, but New York, get ready for more. There's more to come. October and pretty much the remainder of 2023 is highlighted by both the elements water and fire, which I find very interesting that Disney just came out with the movie Elemental. And that movie Elemental is based on fire and water. No coincidence there. We also saw what happened in Hawaii, surrounded by water with the fire in the center. Definitely symbolic to the sickos that run the world, unfortunately. So being that October is going to be, not just October, again, the remainder of this year is going to be highlighted by those elements. Again, our friends in New York, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there's so much more to come to the Big Apple with floods and something even more concerning that I'm going to discuss with you for New York City in a little bit later on in this show. I would tell you that no matter where you may live right now, or no matter where you reside, or even visiting on vacation, you should already know that we are never completely, fully safe when it comes to the weather and the wrath of our dear Mother Earth. Spirit says that a big washing is coming to coastlines. Many will be affected by the waters that will carry many out to sea. So I took this, and I can only interpret this message as being related to a tsunami. Spirit saying a big washing is coming to coastlines. That was plural too, by the way. And many will be affected, and the waters will carry many out to sea. It would have to be, I would imagine it would have to be a tsunami. Something that would, of course, affect several coastlines as well, not just one. Spirit did say coastlines, so that's plural. This would also take me back to my prediction not that long ago of an earthquake beneath the ocean. Remember that vision? I forget when that was. That could have been my October predictions, but I think it was last month I said this. Maybe even September predictions I had that vision. But I had a vision of ripples, like the ripple effect going in all directions from this earthquake that occurs underneath the Pacific Ocean. So that would send ripples in all different directions. And of course, the countries and coastlines that are closest to the epicenter of this quake would be the ones that would get the severe tsunami effect from it. Whereas further places, like say it's closer to, say, Indonesia, we'll just say closer in that region. And the ripple waves, by the time they hit Hawaii, they'd be much smaller. just sending big waves through, the shores of Hawaii, but nothing concerning. And hopefully that would be the case. And hopefully it don't happen at all, actually. But anyway, the Philippines came to my mind. And as I was tapping into the energy of water and the element of water, Philippines came to my mind. So I would expect some major flooding to hit the Philippines in those areas. Perhaps that ripple of the waves that I saw in my vision could touch down on the Philippines coast. I didn't really look. I should have looked at the map. I didn't look at the map. But that was just analyzing what Spirit shows me. Brazil also came to mind. So I believe that would be related to floods, but not just floods, also earthquakes hitting the Brazilian people. But something else is going to occur in Brazil. And I think whatever it is, it's going to affect their political structure and their economy as well. I think that's going to be somewhat pretty much global as the WEF tries to put in their little puppets in place of other leaders with their agenda. Hopefully they'll fail at that. But with all these alignments and everything that's coming up, major things are coming, without a doubt. Remember me singing to you? I serenade you a lot. But you remember me singing, ring, 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 ring of fire? Well, a few times in the past, I've heard that song playing in my mind, Ring of Fire. I probably a few years ago even did a video about it. But anyway, someone referenced here in my comments in relation to the Ring of Fire in Lahaina. This is interesting because I've showed the picture before here on the show, and it was literally a perfect ring of fire in Lahaina from up above images downwards. It was just everything about it strange, as we all know. But it was a perfect ring of fire, and someone said that to me. I even, again, put it in my Lahaina video. I did a video on Lahaina. If you missed that, make sure you check that one out. That was a good one, I thought. I think they're all good, but it's just my opinion. I make them. I hope they're good. So the ring of fire in Lahaina was very strange, to say the least. But something more important to note for the month of October, the solar eclipse that we have coming up, that is going to be the moon blocking out the sun, and we're going to actually witness, for those who are going to be able to see it, I hope I can see it here because it does go across the west coast, that you're going to be able to witness a very rare eclipse ring of fire. So we have that kind of ring of fire happening. That's going to be very symbolic, great symbolic importance, I would tell you, especially over the western part of the United States, where it's going to be visible. This is why I would say a massive earthquake could likely hit somewhere on the western coast of the United States, probably California, which I'll tell you more about in a moment. So the Ring of Fire would, of course, be symbolic of the Pacific Ring of Fire. The Pacific Ring of Fire, which I show you here, is the Pacific Ring of Fire that is basically outlining the entire Pacific Ocean. The Eclipse Ring of Fire is actually going to ignite the Pacific Ring of Fire and bring about more record amounts of volcanoes erupting at the same time or within the same short period of time. It's going to be like this record amount, like all these volcanoes, and most are going to be in areas that aren't of great concern. But it's still going to be of great concern because there's so many going off at the same time. Other places that are of concern, where they could be quite large, would be Greenland, Indonesia, and along the Pacific coast again of the United States, mostly California. When it comes to also earthquakes, of course, not just volcanoes, but earthquakes. California, Spirit says, is in grave danger. Not great danger, grave danger. Of a major earthquake between, I believe it was Los Angeles and San Francisco, like in between there is where I was pulled. I forgot to pull up that map too, to be more direct, but definitely in between those areas. I feel it's going to be a fairly large quake and a great shaking hitting the United States as well. Not necessarily all in October, but definitely in 2023. I had visions of upper pass roads, the upper passes, collapsing down on top of vehicles in the lower passes, which would be bridges, basically. Same thing. Upper pass, lower pass, bridge. It's a bridge. But I saw this in my vision. I also saw visions of fires being caused from this shaking. But I also must add that this great shaking is probably also metaphoric. and the aspect that events occurring in the United States are going to bring a great shaking to the people of the United States. And it's probably both, actually. A massive quake that happens somewhere on the West Coast, could even be up in Washington or between Washington and California, both. But I was pulled between Los Angeles and San Francisco, as I said. It could also be a combination of that and, of course, a great shaking to our government, which I've been telling you since January was coming. I might have even said it last year, but definitely since the world predictions on New Year's Day, I've been telling you big things and shifts and changes in government are happening. And we see it, we feel it, and we need it. But we want that shift to be positive, of course. So the visions I had of all these events, the upper passes, and the collapsing and the fires. I don't know if that's California that I was seeing. It probably is, but something related to a big quake that's coming soon. I didn't see city-like buildings. Like in the last vision I had earlier this year of a massive quake and city buildings collapsing. What was it, a month after I said it? That quake in Turkey happened. And we actually saw that in the vision, in the video of buildings collapsing. In my vision, this time, it was more of like maybe the edge. I don't know where I was, but that's what I saw. Cars collapsed, bridges collapsed down, fires. That's what Spirit showed me. And when I was getting all that information, I was around California. So I would think it would be California. So in my October predictions, I pointed out a warning for another major earthquake like that of Turkey or Morocco. But I would also warn that we may see several big earthquakes, like big, in a short span of time, like we do with the volcanoes. India came to my mind. Japan came to my mind. Mexico. And I saw vision of islands in the lower Pacific being shaken. I also feel Ecuador is in for a major quake and shaking as well. There will be several tsunami sirens being sounded around the globe between October and November. Thankfully, most will be false, but not all. Not all, Spirit said, not all. Earthquakes, are going to occur again in odd places where we not normally see them. And one of those odd places that came to my mind was Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know why, but Atlanta, Georgia came to my mind. I don't know if they get earthquakes there. Not that I know of, but I'm not an earthquake expert. But it felt odd to me. Like, that'd be odd hearing that they got an earthquake. I don't feel like, again, these feel small, small shakings. And I also felt a small shaking around Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and New York again. Probably upper New York near Buffalo, but maybe even the city itself, but small, very small, maybe even not even be able to feel it. But it's still the oddness of where they're happening. Parts of Australia and New Zealand are going to share in heightened earthquake activity. The islands I feel shaking violently are somewhere in this swarm of quakes near Australia and New Zealand. So I just saw this swarm of, in a vision of quake activity, or felt this swarm of earthquake activity near both Australia and New Zealand. Probably related to the islands nearby. And I forget what islands. I think the Solomon Islands are there. I think there's a lot of islands down there, actually. Let me go back to New York and the warning that I have for New York and my friends in New York. I have lots of friends in New York, actually, especially in the city. But once again, I am issuing warnings for our friends in New York, mainly New York City, but also Jersey City, New Jersey. That was a surprise to me. And of course, the river that divides the two, the Hudson. More flooding will be one thing, but the least concerning event heading towards New Yorkers, because once again, Spirit shows me heavy flooding, of course, and floods that flood out the whole subway system completely, shutting down subway system for days, perhaps weeks. So I don't think that was part of what just happened. So there's something bigger coming in their direction. Remember my visions in the recent past of the military guarding, access. Like I saw military troops, all over the streets of New York City with checkpoints that were set up in my visions. And when I said this to you about a month or so ago, I said I felt like maybe they were searching for somebody at first. And it felt like something following a great disaster or a disaster cleanup. Let me rephrase that, disaster cleanup. This literally felt like at the same time, martial law being called in New York, and maybe even parts of Jersey as well, or maybe both those states completely. But martial law being declared in New York, at least in the Big Apple itself. I see huge fires in my visions, and one of those appears to be a large skyscraper type of building. I'm not sure if I'm still in New York City in this vision, although Spirit does take me to a large city that I feel also the ground shake as I witness this large explosion. So in my vision, I was standing on a city street, and I kind of feel like I was in New York. I really looked like New York. I was on the street, and I felt this sudden shake, and I looked straight down the road, and it was just me in the middle of the road. It was really weird, which would never happen in New York City. If you've ever been there, you're not going to stand in the middle of the road, that's for sure. And I looked down, and when I look down, I see this large explosion as everything begins to shake, like really, really strongly shake, as if I'm on the edge. And again, it looked like I was on the edge of the city, looking straight up the avenue towards the center of the city. So if I was in New York City, which I'm pretty sure I was, but I'm not sure. I was definitely in a city, though. We know that much. But when I'm looking down, I'm on the edge of the city. And if I was in New York City, then I would say this explosion would happen somewhere near or very close to or in Times Square itself. So a warning to that. Hopefully that's not something that happens around New Year's. Hopefully not. Spirit also reminds me, I think it's going to be much sooner, whatever I was saying, than New Year's. Wouldn't surprise me with New Year's, though. And I'll get more information. That's why you got to tune in every single Tuesday. Remember, you can also find me on Spotify. So download your free Spotify app today. Spirit, and then I'm under Spirit Speaks Predictions. So Spirit also reminded me of my predictions going back several years ago, if you recall, the tunnels. Remember I had visions of what do you call it? I just drew a blank. The Lincoln Tunnel is one of them. I forget the name of the other one. There's a couple tunnels. I think the Lincoln's the biggest one. But I had visions of the tunnels and something happening with the tunnels being flooded and perhaps even collapsing. So I had that come back to my mind yesterday when I was channeling this information. And it reminded me of the movie Daylight with Sylvester Stallone. You remember that movie? That movie popped in my mind, which I forgot all about that movie. I had to actually go look it up because I didn't remember what the name of it was. It's called Daylight. And in that movie, if you've seen it and you recall, they became trapped in the tunnel in New York City after an above-ground explosion caused the collapse of the tunnel. So let us again together hold in the light with love and golden light that this movie is not a globalist agenda showing us what they plan to do, in their sick future plans, because we know they do that with movies and such. And sometimes, like we saw in 2020, movies went back decades before telling us it was going, what was going to happen. There's no coincidences there, as you know. I see some type of boating accident, speaking of New York City again, occurring in the Hudson River near the Big Apple. This seems to me to be perhaps a tourist boat or some type of a party boat. And it feels dark out to me, or at least it's dark when I see in my vision search boats and helicopters shining lights over the muddy Hudson River. So they're looking for something and someone. Don't know. Well, time will tell. So, hey, what's exactly is happening over there in Canada, friends? My friends in Canada, what's going on with that man, that dictator that's running everything over there? You're probably aware of the Canadian Parliament that they applauded this man in his 90s last week who was a member of the SS in the second, world conflict. That brought up a lot of controversy. And afterwards, the funny part about that was Trudeau afterwards blamed Russia for it. Like, of course, why not? He blamed them for the whole entire incident and said it was their propaganda that made them not know, or whatever his fake excuse was. But more concerning is this bill, the C-11 bill in Canada. This is concerning. So check out these two clips here.
Is no culture without freedom of expression. Just to point out the disinformation from that member. He says all artists support this. Well, even Margaret Atwood, no conservative, has said that this bill represents creeping totalitarianism, creeping totalitarianism. It gives the power to a woke agency, the CRTC, named by liberals, to manipulate social media algorithms in order to shut down voices it does not want people to hear. When will this government realize that Orwell's 1984 was not an instruction manual? I think what we need, if we want more competition, though, we need an open and free internet. Justin Trudeau has tried to shut down competition by passing censorship laws that give a powerful central bureaucracy the control over what Canadians see and say. What that bill will do is reinforce oligopolies. It will limit the number of voices that can compete for Canadians' interest. I don't think that Canadians should be forced just to listen to the powerful corporate or state-funded media. I think that it should be free speech, freedom of the press, and then let Canadians decide what they read, what they see, and what they believe online.
Now, the BBC News article, the Bill C-11, why is YouTube mad at Canada? That's kind of funny, and that YouTube's mad at Canada over this C-11 bill. And apparently a lot of people in Canada are mad, as I show you in these clips. So, a new law that seeks to give Canadian artists a leg up online has left influencers and tech giants alike seeing red. See, they try to make it, this is what they do. They try to make it look good, you know, for certain people or just for all people. They try to make it look good for you to suck you into their bills and their legislature and all that. That's what they're going to try to do with the whole digital currency. They're going to make it look good after things are so bad that they have to do something to make it look good enough for you to get sucked into it. Just saying. So the Canadian bill, this just shows, and I'm just showing this because many of you mentioned it in comments and such. I'm just mentioning it today because it just goes to show we already know that Trudeau is one of the puppets of the W, the E, and of the F, the WEF. We know that. We know, we've even heard Klaus Schwab say it, that he is the future of our leadership. He is the future of our leadership. That guy. I tried to speak German. I should be able to speak German. Isn't he got a German accent? But anyway, that's the whole deal. I told you Trudeau will be out next year anyway. He's going into his 9-year of endings and death of cycles, so he's out. Now, I wouldn't even doubt that, I mean, it's probably not because he's got more security than anybody in the world, probably. But I wouldn't doubt that something happened to him, you know, because 9 years are about endings, and next year is his ending. And I know a lot of Canadians, if not all of them, can't wait. So I don't know what happened to this bill. I don't live in Canada, so maybe our friends in Canada can talk about it below. But this is a way of them taking control over major, you know, corporations like Google or YouTube or what have you. Like they did with Twitter in the United States back, you know, during the elections and everything else. Not even before that. We found out that truth. So, you know, that's what we need. We need these social media companies to stand strong in the aspect that they're not going to give in. Although we know Zuckerberg gave in, like he sold his soul to the devil. So, you know, that's why I stay away from that. I don't barely go on that platform anymore. Speaking of globalists and agendas and people like Zuckerberg and the rest of them, what would you do if I told you that there was actually a book that was put out by the globalists themselves that outlines their agenda for a world takeover and a world government? It's certainly not a conspiracy, I assure you. It's a fact that back in the year 1991, the book The First Global Revolution was published. Even more disturbing about this book, it describes in detail that something that we can all actually see taking place right now and being implemented by the globalists. And this is a clip out of the book that I find the most disturbing. The common enemy of humanity is man. In searching for the common enemy against whom we can unite, we came up with the idea that pollution, the threat of global warming, water shortages, famine, and the like would fit the bill. In their totality and their interactions, these phenomena do constitute a common threat which must be confronted by everyone together. But in designating these dangers as the enemy, we fall into the trap, which we have already warned readers about, namely mistaking symptoms for causes. All of these dangers are caused by human intervention in natural processes. And it is only through changed attitudes and behavior that we can overcome. The real enemy is humanity itself. Friends, it doesn't get much sicker than that. Saying that and quoting that humanity is the threat, says who? Another human can make that decision? A bunch of billionaires sitting around a table deciding who gets to stay and who gets to go? Not cool at all. I just wanted to point this book out to you. I found it quite disturbing. What I find even more disturbing is the Clinton Cartel Foundation. So, will the Clintons actually finally be caught in years of corruption? Deleted emails and all kinds of other stuff. A trail of people who seem to kick the bucket around them, especially around their foundation. That's finally somebody with a bunch of goonads is finally stepping up in the right place at the right time.
5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise in support of my amendment. My amendment is simple. It would prevent taxpayer funds from paying for State Department employees to travel to or attend events hosted by the Clinton Global Initiative. The rationale is quite simple. The Clinton Global Initiative has engaged in blatant corruption and influence peddling that would make even Hunter Biden blush. In perhaps its most famous episode in 2014, Hillary Clinton approached the Moroccan government about hosting a Clinton Global Initiative conference in Morocco. The Moroccans fronted the money for the event by funneling it through a state-owned enterprise that was extracting and exploiting phosphates from a non-self-governing territory, Western Sahara. This sleight of hand amounted to condoning Morocco's sovereignty over this disputed land. You heard that right. It was cash for sovereignty deal formulated just as former Secretary of State Clinton began her run for president of the free world. This deal was so rotten that even the Huffington Post deemed Fox News' investigation into this matter a, quote, brutal, clean hit on Hillary Clinton's campaign, end quote. Indeed, the Clinton Global Initiative scandals are myriad and include an episode uncovered by the New York Times revealing undisclosed donations linked to the sale of U.S. uranium production to a Russian government agency. As expected, the Clinton Global Initiative was unable to withstand the scrutiny and shuttered shortly after the 2016 campaign. That is, until late last year, when the organization reconstituted itself. Its operations are no longer dark, and this is the first state and foreign operations appropriations bill considered since its resurrection. It has since morphed into a factory of radical elitist woke schemes. Just last week, the Clinton Global Initiative convened in New York to discuss how to reshape our economy to tackle the left's pet projects that will make life for ordinary Americans more expensive and worse. Given the State Department's enmeshment with the Clintons and the initiative, we need to send a clear message. No more coordination with the U.S. government. No more conferences with corrupt governments at the expense of the oppressed people of the globe. No more representation and participation by the State Department. An end to its commingling with official policy. And hopefully the beginning of the end of this corrupt organization's influence on U.S. policymaking. Americans simply can't afford more radical policies purveyed by an organization that allows the global elite to buy and influence American foreign policy. Join me in condemning the Clinton Global Initiative's misconduct. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment, and I reserve the balance of my time.
I say praise to that congressman from North Carolina, Virginia Fox, for stepping up and speaking out. I like everything she has to say. Investigate it. Look at it. That's basically what needs to happen. I haven't really read into the amendment itself. I tried searching for it and couldn't find it, but this is what else she had to say.
I see that my colleague has not refuted any of the things that I've said about the Clinton Global Initiative. Why in the world, again, would we ask American taxpayers to pay for people from the State Department to attend these conferences when they're likely not to gain anything positive from them and support a corrupt organization? I reserve. We have a terrific debt on our hands in this country. We don't need to be spending any money that is not absolutely necessary to spend. Curbing attendance at meetings such as the Clinton Global Initiative is a good way for us to chip away at that debt and to save the American taxpayers some money. I think this is an excellent amendment. I believe that my colleagues will see that it's an excellent amendment, and I will continue to advocate for its passage, and I reserve.
Both of the Clintons are in their 7 years in numerology. So it's unlikely that 2023 is going to be the year in which they may face, that karma and all that return karma coming back at them. But it is still possible because November, they would be in our 9 vibration of endings and death of cycles. So the month of November is likely going to be a difficult month for both the Clintons because they are actually both in the same numerological year as each other, both in that 7. So, as I stated, it's probably not going to be this year, maybe not at all. But I like this congressman from North Carolina calling out their foundation for fraud. Let's just pray that Congresswoman doesn't disappear like the rest of the people that go after the Clinton cartel. I would also say that next year, as I've told you in past, is their 8-year numerology, the Clintons. Therefore, they're going to have lots of issues when it comes to money next year. Besides that, that's the vibration of the whole planet as well. It's time for that Clinton Foundation to really face the charges that need to be faced. We know what happened with all the money with Haiti. It didn't end up going to Haiti after that earthquake. They only got, 10% of what was raised? What happened to the other 90% of the funds? These are the questions that should be asked. These are the questions that are going to be asked. I can see people stepping down from the Clinton Foundation, exiting, stepping down, being forced to step down in the near future. And I would say that we could see some big endings happen around them in the month of November. And again, even in the month of January, because they're back in that 9 vibration again. So we can only hold in the light that the justice system finally does bring justice to the American people and people all around the world. So the date October 4th that everybody seems to still be worried about and putting out content all revolved around it. Some of it being deleted too, especially on platforms like the one we're on now. But what's going to happen during this EBS thing? There is literally a hack attack from your own government going in your phone and stealing information. That's one of the things that Spirit showed me. Even though they can do that all the time, there's something different about this test. And it feels like to me like something's being put on your phone. But as far as the sound waves causing something to happen to people, I don't see that happening. You know why? Because basically too many people know about it, friends. And this is how we stop them, like I told you. When we put out truth and information, or even if it's not true, but especially if it's true and there is a plan and we're putting it out, it actually blocks them. Stops them from being able to initiate things. And there are way too many people that have been warning about the potential of the 4th, including last week. We talked about it last week. I showed you all the patents, or was it the week before? I can't remember, but it might have been 2 weeks ago. I showed you all the patents of the technology that are really, literally creepy as can be. So with that said, pulling off such an event would immediately show guilt, right? Immediately would show guilt. People would know that the government's in on it, and the world would demand answers. So you have to think about it in that initiative. You have to think like the globalists think. You got to kind of try to, I know it's hard, but try to look through the eyes of a globalist psychopath. That's what you got to look through the eyes of. They're not stupid, friends. And they would not want you to know when they're going to pull off such an event. Because, in order to pull off such a sick event, an agenda, the more people that know about it, the less successful it would be. So, maybe they canceled it altogether. Maybe there was a plan, but right now Spirit says no. And the more people that talk about it, again, it lessens their chances of success, and they want success. So they're not going to lead you on to knowing or thinking that something's going to happen. This is the test to make sure it works. Could be later where it's not a test. You know what I mean? This is not a test. So I would not worry about it, but I would tell you, as I did before, to turn off your devices, your phone, unplug your televisions if you have a smart TV, and do so. The test, they say, is at 2:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:20 Pacific Time. They do this in Israel as well, from what I read. So I would say turn it off at the top of the hour for an hour. That's what my recommendation would be. Wrapping in foil does not work, by the way. I know people left comments, wrapping in foil. That actually does not work. Your phone will still go off. Guaranteed. So now, perhaps, this could be why, for the first time ever, they put out 2 dates, too, for this. That I found to be very interesting, just in case. They don't usually, from my knowledge, I could be wrong, but I don't remember them ever putting out 2 dates. They say if the system test fails, therefore the 11th would be their backup date. Now that date, the 11th, would be a date that would concern me when it comes to numerology and the numbers and the number that Freemasons and the Illuminated like to hold sacred. But I still don't worry about it because nothing's going to happen. Like I said, if they were to pull off such an event, they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know and be able to prepare or be aware of it. They would want it to be pulled off in a way that people would be like, what happened? Oh my God, that doesn't make sense, right? So, moving right along. Breakthrough in vision and repair. In past predictions, Spirit told us that there would be huge breakthroughs in repairing vision and vision loss. Spirit was right and informs me, actually, that there's going to be even bigger breakthroughs coming in the way of vision, including a future where the blind can actually choose to see again. I thought that was really amazing. That would be so amazing. A future where the blind can choose to see again. So I guess they could choose if they spend whatever ridiculous amount of money the medical field is going to ask for it. But hey, the potential, that's great. That's awesome. That's amazing. So it was a 14-year-old boy that gained eyesight after a breakthrough treatment. Just came out September 26th. 14-year-old Antonio Vento regained his eyesight after a breakthrough treatment. Vento lost his eyesight after being diagnosed with dystrophic endophthalmosis bullosa. Love those medical terms, huh? I probably butchered it. A rare illness where the cells do not produce enough collagen. Clarification in previous version of this story, we stated, no, we don't need that. So that's amazing. Where'd the rest of the story go? Don't you love how they don't let you read the whole thing? Darn. Anyway, amazing new breakthrough, just like Spirit said. Spirit also says that soon we are going to see breakthroughs in several different cancers and their treatments, including a new drug from a new developer or a newer developer. So it wouldn't be one of these big pharma companies that we know of. It would be a newer developer, a small sideline company that develops a new drug that kills certain types of cancer cells. Of course, it will be one of that we know big pharma is going to try to eliminate, but they will not be successful in doing so. And eventually, it might be a while, but eventually it will become publicly available through hospitals and doctors, according to Spirit. Also, a breakthrough in thyroid cancer is coming, according to Spirit as well. So that's pretty awesome. What's not awesome is why the heck are there Russian troops marching in the parade of Mexico for their Independence Day? Why are Russians, and some claim Chinese as well, troops right by the United States border? What the heck is that all about? Well, it's to send a message more than anything. Send the message. Russia teaming up with our neighbors is a bad thing. I've talked about war on the borders of our country in the future, mainly with the cartel, but the cartel is the Mexican government. It's the same entity. That's who runs the whole entire country and parts of our country here in the United States as well, and other countries. They are at the top, not the complete top, but they're up near the top. And that would make sense to border wars. You would think, Spirit told us wars on the border with, especially in Texas, with the cartel. But to me, it's the same entity. You're fighting the cartel, you're fighting the Mexican government. And this is to send the message because they want to send the message. The cartel wants to send the message to the United States, basically, that you're not going to stop what we're doing, including sending all these millions of people into the United States and other countries too. Not only that, there's been, I think, a reported 22,000 at least Russians that relocated to the United States to flee, having to be a part of the draft for the military over there in Russia. Also, there's been thousands and thousands of Chinese people coming across the borders to escape, of course, the communism that's taking place in China. Really interesting, and I thought that was interesting. Thought I'd bring that up. Like, why? It's kind of crazy sending a message. But big changes are coming, friends. Huge, major changes. Don't forget to watch my video that I do on channeled predictions later on this week when it's posted. Two other things is Steven Tyler, rock and roll legend himself, and Stevie Nicks. Two people I want to mention. Starting with Steven Tyler, who happens to be in his 9 year of endings and death of cycles. One of my first concerts ever was August the 4th, 1984, and it was Aerosmith when they reunited in concert in Philadelphia. And I was only 13 years old, and I had no idea who Aerosmith really was, basically. Well, I did, but I didn't. So it was amazing, but I've seen them at least 7 times. Steven Tyler just had a major injury to his vocals and his chords. Being that he's in his 9 year, I'm going to say that this is going to end it for Steven Tyler and Aerosmith, unfortunately. He needs to stop or he's going to end up not making it very far. This could even be a year that leads to more serious issues by the end of the year, even though there's only a few months left. More serious issues for Steven Tyler and his health. But this would be a time for him. This is his body and mind and spirit telling him it's time to stop and do something else. But will he listen? Probably not. That could lead to more severe health issues. Now, Stevie Nicks, on the other hand, she's like in her, I forget, 2 years or something. She's good, nothing. But she's coming out with her own Barbie doll. How amazing is that? And I went to go get my pre-ordered Stevie Nicks doll, and they didn't have any left. I'm so upset about that. I'm getting me Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks told me she loved me. She shook my hand and told me she loved me. True story, true story, true story. I want to move on to some thank yous. Back here in the background, if you can see this beautiful vase of flowers that is hand sandblasted by hand by my friend in Japan, who also sent me the kabuki plate. And she sent me some snacks, and I left them over there. I ate them all, by the way. They were Japanese snacks, these rice cakes that I ate like so fast that I need to go find a place to order them because I love them so much. Those rice cakes were amazing. Let's see. I hope I have her card here. I talked about it last week, and I forgot to put the clip in. Hi, Spiritman. I am the kabuki plate woman. I just love you, Maki. For your birthday this year, I sandblasted a vase so that you can feel autumn. I choose the vase because you always have beautiful flowers. Yes, it's a must. You always must have beautiful flowers. I just hope that you like it. I love it, Maki. I love it, love it, love it. And I love my kabuki plate too. So I just hope you like it and the snacks that I have included as well. I am very, very grateful. And I thank you so very, very much. I thank Deborah Stanley for her card. I don't know if I said this already. Deborah Stanley sent me something somewhere. I mixed this all up by accident. Sorry, I totally messed it up. Maki sent me this beautiful card to go along with it too, and snacks. Thank you, Maki. I very much appreciate that. That's that one. I got a happy birthday from Karen George. Karen George, I haven't seen you in forever, who sent me a little check there. Thank you, Karen George. Thank you, Karen George. And the little labs. I love labs. I miss my black lab Anubis. Leona sent me a card, and I'm not sure if I said this last week or not. I might have said that last week, but I didn't want to miss anybody or forget anybody. Somebody sent me this wonderful package with my ancient Egyptian. Maybe this was Deborah Stanley, actually. This was Deborah Stanley, I believe. And these, I don't know if these are real silver or not. They're really heavy though and pretty friggin' awesome. That one is, you're probably not going to be seeing, that's actually the Egyptian god Anubis on there, who I have tattooed on my ankle. She's got this little silver one here with Nefertiti on it. Yes, I'm guessing they're real silver. It doesn't say, but I'm guessing. And there's another one here with the cat bast on it. Silver with, who's on the other side? Bastet, goddess of the Catwoman. The Catwoman goddess, the Catwoman goddess. She sent me these cute little butterfly stickers and dragonfly stick. Is that a tattoo? That's actually a tattoo. I think I should put that on next week. I'll wear that next week. Oh, and she sent me this lovely crystal. This lovely, lovely, lovely chunk of quartz. I just want to make sure that was actually Doris Bauer. Sorry, that was from Doris Bauer in Langhorne, my hometown area, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Doris, your card's got to be here somewhere. Thank you, Deborah Stanley, for your card. Here it is. There we go. Beautiful card with Mother Earth on it. When a man lives with strength and spirit, when he keeps his eye on what matters most and gives his best to each day, everything is possible for this. Wishing you everything on your birthday. From Doris B. in Langhorne, PA, who sent me these lovely little gifts. And you know what? I'm missing something. Oh, wait, here's something else. That's what Deborah Stanley sent. I knew Deborah Stanley sent me something. Teas. First, we have Golden Monk Fruit Sweetener. I got to try that. I forgot that was in there. And these fabulous fine dining teas. Elderberry Fortress Herbal Tea. Can't wait to try. I haven't tried any of these yet, but I will. That one first that I just said. Florida Sunshine White Tea. That's very good for you. White tea. And Pumpkin Chai Latte Black Tea. Thank you, my dear Deborah. And thank you, all of you, for the gifts and the love and the support, and all my subscribers who make this free content possible for everybody. I couldn't do without you. Again, happy birthday, Libras and Scorpios. I will be back later this week with channeled predictions that you're not going to want to miss. And of course, I'll be back again next Tuesday, as I am every Tuesday. Until then, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you, because you're freaking amazing. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste and much love.